That's a great question. Yeah, it is, especially when you look back in your own story and you're like, gosh, I'm so not qualified. I've made too many mistakes. I'm passive, irresponsible, foolish. And you're like, yeah, we'll give someone the right to talk about these things. I think for me, I'm always just aspiring to try and be the most honest person in the room about my own shortcomings, my own journey. And yeah, having this privileged opportunity now to champion young men. As I say to them, just because I'm the bloke yapping in the microphone doesn't mean I actually have all the answers. Like, doesn't mean I know it all, doesn't mean I am it all, becoming it. Like, I fall short of my values and just continuing to go on that journey. So it's more, I feel like I want to just create this space for them to reflect on who they are, who they're becoming, what their values are, who their mates are. Is that helping them to live their values? That's more the approach than saying like, I'm him and you guys should be like me and I've got it all sorted. You know, it's more like, what matters to you? What kind of young men do you want to be? What values should we hold to? What should we challenge in our culture? And what should we actually champion about young men so it can make it easier for them, their lives, their relationships to really thrive? So that's my sweet spot, and really grateful to do that.
No, fantastic. Like, hey, look, it's looking at the media and looking at what you've done. It sounds like you've had a massive impact. So this is some of the stats that came off your website. So your journey so far is 76,000 plus students you've spoken to, 53,000 boys, which is a massive impact just in Australia alone, 8,500 educators, and you've spoken in over 310 schools, which this week you probably added to that.
Yeah, a couple.
A couple more to that. When it comes to our young people and our young men in particular, what are the biggest issues they're facing?
I think how it manifests is I see a lot of apathy and a lot of insecurity, which can sometimes come across like callousness, indifference, and I feel for them in that regard. So like that's how it's manifesting. In terms of the challenges, gosh, there's no shortage. And of course, puberty and adolescence has been hard for every generation. I love asking adults, anyone here want to do puberty and adolescence again and and do it with a smartphone in your pocket? I've asked that question 10,000 times, still waiting to get an affirmative answer to that. So we know it's clearly more challenging for young people and for boys and for all young people. Realistically, I think it's just there's so much noise and mixed messages and endless distractions. And quite often I think, what's encouraged isn't necessarily the very best of who they are. So I think what they hear loud, what they punish each other for can sometimes actually be the best elements of being a young man. And they tell me that flat out, that, them being decent, kind, loving, courageous, respectful, they're going to cop it from their mates for that, or the other bloke sitting in the class or the back of the school bus. And that's always happened. I just think now it doesn't stop. Like, I don't know about you, Doug. My first phone was a Nokia 3310. I got bullied a lot, but once I got on the school bus home, like, no, contact me.
Yeah.
So it relented, and you could then kind of recalibrate, reset, go about other things, go play footy, go do whatever it is you want to do, and not have that noise and people trying to drag you down or distract you or misguide you. So yeah, there is a lot. And I guess I say all that if nothing else to say, we need to be curious and have empathy for young people.
No,
we just have to be curious, like what's going on in their lives, because like they don't raise themselves, which seems like a manifestly obvious thing to say, right? Like none of us raise ourselves. People are still trying to help raise me, right now, like to be a good man and like to live my values. But like it's obviously such a flippant thing to say, but it's true. It's like we actually have to help them and guide them. We can't just sit here being like so shocked, like you did what online? It's like you were online all night. It's like, well, that's exactly what big tech wants. That's exactly the culture they're living in. So it's our role to jump in and make it a bit easier and make their path a bit straighter.
How do we do that well?
Yeah, I think, again, it starts with like being curious about where they're at, what's going on for them, what matters to them. I think for boys especially, we have to dismiss this idea because sometimes they think, oh, Dan's coming in to talk about masculinity or relationships or consent or this or that. We're in trouble. We're being punished. We're in trouble for being boys. And they so need to know we are for them. They so need to know that these conversations are not because we think they've stuffed up. It's actually because it's like, we want to equip you because our generation didn't have these chats. We've had to learn the hard way, the long way, unlearn. We actually want to set you guys up to thrive. And I actually think that is so fundamental because you could read all the books you want in the world, but if your disposition isn't curious and isn't for young people and young men, they're going to sense that.
Yeah.
They're going to feel the judgment. They're going to feel that like you're kind of antagonistic towards them. them. So I think so much of it starts off with that curious, empathetic tone.
Yep.
And then from there, like that opens the doors to so much conversation and encouraging the good stuff. So yeah, I think they have to know first up that we give a rip about them. We recognize there's some tough stuff. We don't even know it all. Like I said, it's them. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want good for you. I don't know exactly your challenges, but we want good for you. So they have to hear it. And I had a story this week that just so deeply moving is then when we see the good stuff, like to affirm it, because they're copping so much pushback.